we are definitely going to keep Montgomery County red, Texas red, and the United States of America red. So, I'm the president of East Montgomery County Republican Women. Jason Dunn is going to be our moderator for the evening. I will let you know the order of appearance that the candidates will be speaking in. The first, we will have Senate Representative District 18, Senator Ernest Bells and Janice Holt. Bellatalis could not be here tonight. He does have a family emergency. Then next up, we will have County Court at Law number 3, Amy Tucker and Laura Watson. Then we will have Commissioner Precinct 4, James Metz, Matt Gray. Our next judges will be County Court at Law number 4, Echo Hudson, Gary Miller. And then the final will be the Montgomery County Judge, Mark Keogh, Sarah Countryman, and Billy Graff. I'm now going to turn it over to our Justice of the Peace, Jason Dunn, and he's going to go over the lay of the land and the laws. Actually, we're going to start with prayer. If I could please have your attention, we're going to all say the Lord's Prayer together. If you could stand.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Okay, you can remove your hats and stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now honor the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one, indivisible.
Okay, if I can have our first round of candidates, Senator Ernest Bells and Ms. Janice Holt, and this meeting is officially in order.
And just for clarification purposes, this is state representative race. Yeah. All right, we're going to go over some of the ground rules tonight. My name is Jason Dunn. I'm the Justice of the Peace here in East Montgomery County. I'll give you a quick introduction about myself. I was elected in 2018. I'm in my first term, my last year. I'll be on the ballot in March in the Republican primary, and also in November. I look forward to serving 4 more years as your Justice of the Peace here in East Montgomery County. Thank you. Thank you. Also, I would like to thank the East Montgomery County Republican Women for hosting this event here in East Montgomery County tonight. It takes a lot of work, obviously, to get it done. Also, thank all of you for coming. This is probably a record event for a forum, at least over here at the Senior Citizens building. A couple things I want to go over, if I have time. Okay. A couple things I'd like to go over tonight. All these candidates have worked tirelessly. They've invested time, money, resources to run for these positions. And I think all of us tonight need to give them the common courtesy to answer the questions that you all wrote. I'm simply reading the questions. I did not come up with these questions on my own. Some of them I had to discard when I went through them because they're just too personal. I don't think we need to do all that tonight. So if you would, just be courteous, let them answer your questions. We're going to give them 2 minutes for an opening statement, answer a few questions, and then 1 minute, maybe 2 minutes. 2? 1? Yep, 1 at the end. 2 minutes open, a few questions, and 1 to close it out. And I remember years ago, there was a political event over at the high school. And that political event was a forum. And that forum was really more like a wrestling match with a twist of politics that got spun in there. It's a lot of hoop and hollering, and really at the end of the night, it was entertaining. It was entertaining. But at the end of the night, you really didn't get much out of it. I'm sure some people here tonight remember former Commissioner Ed Reinhardt. I believe you were there. I know Rowdy was there, and I believe Judge Metz, Commissioner Metz, he was there too. Scott, you're shaking your head. I guess you were there as well. All right, so anyway, without further ado, we have a state representative race, and I'm going to read the questions that you submitted. Again, they are not my questions.
And this is your timekeeper.
Sorry.
She gets shy.
One other thing, if I mispronounce your name, just do like the general did to me at the last forum and got on to me, and I'll correct myself the best that I can. All right, so the first question.
Intro.
I'm sorry, I did that last time, didn't I? Okay. All right, so here's what we're going to do. 2 minutes for their opening introduction, and we're going to start with Miss Janet Holt. Janice. It says Janet on there.
Oh, sorry.
Hi, my name is Janice Holt, and I am running for state representative for House District 18. I live in Silsbee, which is in Hardin County, and you may be thinking, why is Hardin County way over here in Montgomery County? But with redistricting after the census, the House District 18, beginning in 2023, will be made up of San Jacinto County, Liberty County, Hardin County, and East Montgomery County. So I look forward to running for this race because I believe that my values of faith, family, and freedom are the values of East Texas. And a little bit about my background: I'm a teacher by profession. I taught for 10 years back in the 90s and the early 2000s, and I quit teaching in order to work with my husband. We have our own business. We do indoor air quality. We kill COVID, and so we've been very, very busy over the last 2 years. But I also, being able to work with our business, that also afforded me the opportunity to be able to run for school board. And I have served on the Silsbee ISD School Board since 2014, and I'm currently the board president. I'm very active in the Republican Women of Hardin County, of Texas, and the National Federation of Republican Women. And I was appointed in 2019 by Governor Abbott to serve on the State Commission on Judicial Conduct, and I serve as vice chair of that commission. So that's just a little bit about me, and I look forward to getting to know you better. Thank you.
First of all, I just want to say thanks for all of you guys caring enough to be here, caring enough to care about what the candidates stand for, do your homework, but most importantly, care enough to vote. My name is Ernest Bales. I was born and raised in Shepherd, Texas, just right down the road. Family Jerry and a beef cattle operation. I learned how to work. We milked at 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening, milked about 265 and ran about 600 head of beef cattle. We also ran commercial trucks and heavy equipment. I've had a Class A CDL since I was 17, still keep a current health card. Weldon was equipment operator for a little while out of college. I've done a little bit of everything. My life has not been about politics. I was just a working class guy who was afforded the opportunity to serve the people of Southeast Texas. So I've been a state representative for the last 6 years. I've had Liberty, San Jacinto, and Walker County. In that capacity, we've been able to get a lot of work done, establish a relationship so that we can be effective on day one representing Montgomery County. I'm not from here. My family goes back here many generations. My great-grandfather actually helped with this very park and his name is on the two-story library just right across the street, Mr. R.B. Tullis. So, very fortunate to come from good people. I do what I say I'm going to do, and I'm very present. I've had the opportunity, I've already been placed on our regional planning committee over here in East Montgomery County. I had the opportunity just to speak to leadership East Montgomery County just earlier. We started working on day zero as soon as I found out we had you guys. So the commitment I make to you guys, I will always be here. I will represent what you guys stand for. And you guys are very fortunate that you are now part of a more rural area, which has similar values. You're no longer part of Conroe proper. So I think that's a very good thing for everybody in this room tonight.
Okay. Again, I did not come up with these questions unless they're phenomenal, and then I probably did. All right, so the first question for both candidates, Ms. Janice Holt, you can answer the question first. How do you plan on holding Republican values when the left does not play fair?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have been working for the Republican values actively for about the last 18 years through my Republican women activities and work with the Republican Party and the Republican Party of Texas. I've served on the State Republican Executive Committee representing Senate District 3. And while I was in that capacity, I served on the Legislative Priorities Committee. And the Legislative Priorities Committee, our task was to make sure that the priorities that our Republican Party of Texas, the ones that we set up, were being worked on, passed in the legislature, whether it was in the Senate or the House. And the Democrats don't play fair a lot of times. And so we have been known as the nice party. And so we have to be bold. We can still be nice, but we have to be bold. We have to stand firm for what we believe. I've been a Republican all my life. My first president to be able to vote for was Ronald Reagan back in 1980. And so I have been working very hard for Republican values all my life. And so I know how to stand up. I know how to stand firm. I have served in so many positions throughout the Republican women and the Republican Party that have prepared me for this. And I know that I will be able to work hard to make sure that those Republican priorities are carried out and that we do stand firm. You know, you can work with the other party, but you cannot ever compromise your values, and you have to stand firm. And so that's the kind of representative that I will be. Thank you.
I've had the opportunity to serve in the legislature the last 6 years as a Republican. A conservative Republican, my track record speaks for itself. Here's the thing we have to understand. Our rural areas, which this district is not a one-size-fits-all. We support public education. We support fiscal responsibility. We support life. We support securing the border and all of those things. But we have to do a very good job of never losing sight of what our job is. That's representing each and every one of you guys back at home. It's not representing the majority, which is just right south in Houston, Texas. So I've got Republican colleagues that I serve with just down south in Houston, Texas. They have very different challenges. We abide by the same platform, we abide by the same party, but it's my job to go a step beyond that and make sure that we do what is best for East Montgomery County and the rest of House District 18, and that's what I've been able to do.
Thank you. You want to just stand up because the next one's for you? Or you can sit down and answer it, whatever you want to do. What are the 3 top priorities in our state, in your opinion, and what can you do as a representative about those 3 top priorities?
I would say public education is our biggest one because these kids are our future. We've got to make sure that we adequately fund and do a good job teaching our kids, but we're very mindful of the expense that we put on ad valorem property taxes and every landowner and homeowner right here. So we did a couple different things that I've already been working on. We had hypersonic growth. This district over the next 10 years will have up for 3 to be selected as the fastest growing school in the state of Texas. Splendora, New Caney, and Cleveland. And at whose expense? So we have a constitutional obligation to provide a quality education. We're trying to split the difference and also help when we pay our taxes. Securing our border has a huge impact on that as well. That affects our rural health care system. Our emergency rooms and our hospitals are still for profit, as they should be. However, you look at going to your family practitioner, your doctor, versus someone who is not here legally going to the emergency room, what do you think is more expensive and what has a huge contribution on breaking our system? That's also no different educating our kids. So probably the 3 biggest priorities that we have worked on and will continue to work on: providing quality education for our kids, trying to get away from the overburden of ad valorem property taxes, and securing our border to do what is best for right here.
The top 3 priorities that I believe that we need to address, number 1 is our border. We must secure that border. We cannot allow the invasion of our southern border as we have over the last year under the Biden administration. What they are doing down there is reprehensible, and we must stop it. I am all for legal immigration. If they come in the right way, fill out the correct paperwork, and come in the right way. My daughter-in-law, my son's wife, is from Mexico. She has, gone through the process and done everything correctly, and that's the way we need to enter our country. Number 2 is election integrity. We all know that this past presidential election, was fraught with fraud, and we must be able to check into that and be able to audit those election returns. The legislature did do some leading down into election integrity, but I believe that we need to revisit that and make the penalties a little bit stronger. It was more of a little more than a slap on the wrist. So we must have some felony charges be able to be filed if someone breaks those election integrity rules, those election rules. And number 3 is life, protecting life. I have been endorsed by Texas Right to Life, who was very active in the heartbeat bill and making sure that we protect those who cannot protect themselves. As a Christian, I am, life begins at conception and ends at natural death. And we must always protect those who are not able to protect themselves. So those 3 things, the border, election integrity, and protecting life, are the 3 major goals that I will have when I'm in the House. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is for you, Ms. Holt, and this is the last question. I didn't come up with these questions, so I didn't write them. What do you think should stay and what do you think should go in regards to the Board of Education? Trick question.
Well, the State Board of Education is made up of representatives from all around the state, and then through TEA with Mike Morath. They set the education priorities. And so, what should stay and what should go? We must be able to have input into our school system. It is very important that our public schools remain fully funded and remain accountable. And so how that actually happens will need to be adjusted, I believe, because of the property tax issue. We must be able to free up homeowners, free up those business owners from those property taxes, but at the same time, we have to make sure that we are funding our schools completely. And so that is something that will need to be worked on, but the teaks that come down from TEA and all of the education mandates that come through have been, some of them are good, but some of them come to the individual districts and the individual schools, and there's no funding behind those. So we need to make sure that we have funding if the State Board of Education and TEA is going to are going to mandate something, we must be able to have the dollars behind it in order to fully fund it. So thank you for that question, because education is such an important thing in the state of Texas, and as more and more people come into Montgomery County and the rest of in Liberty County and House District 18, we have to make sure that those things are funded and those schools are funded. Thank you.
There's a lot of different ways we can go with this question. We have the A through F rating and whether that's best for our schools. We have the STAR test, whether kids should be able to fail and not pass graduation based on a test. A lot of kids just don't test well. But I think from a bigger aspect, we go back to TEA and the way we have that structure from the top down with the commissioner. So I have a ton of interactions directly with Commissioner Morath in my capacity over the last 6 years and about our school districts right here. We put a huge emphasis onto charter schools and against public education. The one thing that no one's wanting to tell you, we talk a lot about ad valorem property taxes and how we fund public education in the state of Texas. It's predominantly based on the contribution of our local taxpayers. But when you have a charter school right next door, they typically going to receive more per student because they're going to get the maximum adjusted. They're going to get the statewide average plus maximum adjustment. And that's 100% from the state contribution with practically zero accountability. So if we see it's necessary to use state funds to fund in that capacity, and we can wholly pay for our child's public education through the state without the burden upon taxpayers, that's where we need to put our emphasis at. We have to take a look at what is best truly for the kids and not politicize education. And I think that's a combination of issues within the State Board of Education, as well as the top-down approach of a governor appointee with minimal experience serving as the overall dictator on behalf of every school district in the state of Texas. That's not what's best. We need someone who is very savvy, understands. I think there ought to be some minimum parameters. You need to have served time in the classroom, know how administration works, and have a good idea of the big picture. Rural, urban, all parts of Texas. So again, my name is Ernest Bales. You know what? It's truly been an honor to serve in this capacity. My life has never been about politics, and it never will be. I take pride in being a working class guy. I got my wife Courtney here, who's a school teacher. I've got 2 great boys at home. This is my home. Anything that I do is to make sure that they have a bright future and that every kid has that opportunity. I'm not worried about my kids. They've got a lot of love at home. We've got a lot of other kids that don't have that. So it's our job to make sure that they have a voice, that they are represented, but at the same time we'd be mindful of infrastructure needs right here in East Montgomery County. We look at transportation, we look at flooding, we look at the growth. The growth is coming. So it's our job to work directly with all of our county and state officials to make that as positive as possible. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I want to apologize right now. I will be leaving shortly. I have another candidate forum in Liberty County. I will have staff here. I will have signs. Anything you need, reach out to me, and I can guarantee you I will be present. I will listen, and I will do all I can to help. Appreciate your support, and God bless.
I too want to thank everyone for coming out. This is a wonderful turnout. Kudos to the East Montgomery County Republican women for putting on such a wonderful event. Again, my name is Janice Holt, and I am from Silsbee over in Hardin County, and I look forward to serving as a state representative because I believe that my values of faith, family, and freedom are best represented by the people here of East Texas in House District 18. It's a team. The state representative must be able to work with the county officials, the city officials, the school officials, and all those players in the district. And we must be able to come together and help each other for the benefit of the residents of House District 18. And I look forward to taking on that responsibility. I'm ready to go to work on day one in 2023, and I look forward to earning your support. Thank you again. HopefulTexas.com. Thank you.
Quite a great way to start our evening. We're learning a lot and staying informed. And that's how we empower each other and our community, is by being informed and empowered. So next up, we're going to have Judge Amy Tucker and Laura Watson for candidate County Court Law at 3.
The box. But before we get into the questions, we're going to do the opening now, correct? I'm getting it. Okay, so I can't go ladies first, so I'm going to go in the order that they put them on this piece of paper. And Ms. Watson, you'll be up first.
Thank you very much. I apologize for sounding like a mild squeaky toy. The weather has not been kind to my voice, but I promise I'm not sick. It's okay. She shifts over 3 feet. My name is Laura Watson, and I am running for judge for County Court at Law number 3. This is a family specialization court which incorporates our child welfare docket. I am board certified in family law, which makes me more than qualified to be able to manage this court. If I miss a word, somebody just raise a hand or something. But in the process of doing this, one of the most important things that I think we all need to understand and realize is a court is a business. For 12 years, I worked in corporate America prior to doing what I call an early midlife crisis and going to law school. In the process of working in corporate America, I was able to learn how to manage not only hundreds of staff members, but also multi-million-dollar budgets. This court is a business. The tax dollars, your tax dollars, are what we manage as part of our budget. I'm the only candidate that has ever done that. I think it's also important to understand that I am the only candidate in this race that has managed a successful law practice right here in Montgomery County. I have worked side by side with the people within our county, people like you, as well as, more importantly, our children. Hundreds of children serving as their voices within the private sector to try to help them go through the trauma of a family law case as they have gone through and experienced those things with their families. It is important to understand that I'm also the only candidate that has served within our community for the last 12 years. I've been members of various civic organizations, volunteered with various groups, and more importantly, served on multiple boards that serve the needs of children. I've been doing this for an extended period of time. I did not start when I was campaigning, and I'm here to run for judge, Laura Watson, County Court at Law 3, because I'm here to serve you, the people of Montgomery County. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to thank East Montgomery County Republican Women and this huge crowd. Thank you so much for coming out. It's an honor to be here. I am Judge Amy Tucker. I'm currently the judge for County Court at Law 3. And County Court at Law 3 is one of our 3 family courts. It's a specialty court. All of our courts have gone to specialty courts. And we're also the designated child protection court, which means I handle all of the court cases for all of the foster children in the county. I am the first judge in the history of the county and one of few, if any, in the state who specifically asked for all of those cases. I have worked in child welfare law for my entire 20-year legal career. First, I worked for the county attorney's office with former county attorney David Walker, and then I was appointed as the associate judge for this court in 2012 and worked as the associate judge for 8.5 years and handled all of the child protection cases in our court till my judge retired and I was appointed on July 1st. I'm double board certified in child welfare law and in family law, and I am passionate about these cases. It took a long time to bring them to County Court at Law 3, and I have a clear vision for this court, which is that I want to give these cases the attention that they deserve, and I want to bring the highest level of expertise to them. I'm one of the top experts in the state of Texas in child welfare law, and my associate judge Judge Jack Riley, who's not here tonight, but he has 27 years of family law experience and has also been board certified in family law for 15 years. I think the two of us bring an unrivaled level of expertise and commitment and passion to this court, and I'm asking for you to continue me in this position so that we can make a real difference. Thank you so much.
We have to share. Okay, Judge Tucker, this question's for you. CPS cases follow a strict timeline. Can you explain how a case is filed, moves through the system, and how you schedule cases to make sure you are meeting statutory requirements?
So every CPS case that is filed requires a minimum of 5 hearings in the first 12 months. And we stick to those statutory guidelines we are very rigid about that. When I first when the case first comes to me and the department is appointed as temporary managing conservator, I give all the dates for the rest of the case. We are required to resolve these cases in 12 months. There are now some exceptions to that rule. Those exceptions keep getting expanded by the legislature, but our goal is to resolve these cases as quickly as possible. Every step of the way, I ask the question, does CPS still need to be involved? I hope at every step of the case that we can have the family resolve this matter without state intervention. I think that best serves our children and best serves the court.
With regards to CPS, I think one of the things that we need to understand within this court is the number of cases that actually that constitute the CPS docket, and that is approximately 150 cases. The way my opponent has described the format within that is she is correct. The goal is to have those cases over within 12 months. There are times and extenuating circumstances under specific requirements of the code where that can be extended. The problem that we're having right now is if it goes past 12 months, we are losing the opportunity to be able to get federal funding back into our county. The problem we have right now with our CPS docket is it is averaging between 14 and 16 months to get closure in these cases. Not to mention there have been a few that have gone past the 18-month timeline. What we need to do is focus on getting closure with these cases, moving forward with these cases, being able to get these families reunited, which should be our primary focus. Unfortunately, right now we have one of the lowest family reunification rates, not only in the state, but also in the nation. The children, our primary focus should be to return them to their families. Only 69 to 70% of the time is that happening, and that should be a concern for all of us. One of the other things that we have to look at is how can we improve our caseloads and our dockets. Granted, this question is dealing with CPS, but please understand that 20% of the caseload for the rest of this court manages approximately 3,400 cases. So we have to be able to look at it from a structure of how do we manage this entire court incorporating that CPS caseload. And I believe personally part of that is to hold CPS accountable, make sure that they meet their timelines and their deadlines. Right now that's not happening. We need to have efficiency in getting closure for these families and be able to move on and do it within the guidelines and the deadlines so we can maximize any type of federal funding that might be available to our county. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Watson, this question is for you. Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night thinking about a case, wishing you had handled something different? If so, please describe that situation.
That is a loaded question. Sadly, it happens more often than not. In terms of a specific case, I'll be honest with you, there's countless of them. And I'm always looking from a standpoint of what more could I have done for that family. About 9 years ago, I shifted the majority of my practice, about 70% over it, to representing the voices of the children. understanding what those kids are going through when they're caught in the middle of mom and dad, as I say, good people on bad behavior. The children become the pawns. The children become the price tag of mom and dad getting whatever it is they're looking for in that divorce or that modification. By focusing on that and focusing on those children, I've learned every day how it is so important that we make them our priority and keep them out of the middle. So in terms of, do I wake up at 2 and 3 and 4 in the morning? You betcha I do, because I'm worried about how do I get that baby into a better place? How can I come up with a way that I can do more for these children and get out there and protect them, get them into an environment, or sometimes something as simple as just say, Mom and Dad, wake up. And sometimes in this role, when you're serving as the voice of these kids, it gives you the opportunity to sit them down and say, this is unacceptable. You don't have to go into a courtroom to get an answer. What you need is to look at perhaps some mental health services that can be out there. Let's get into a co-parenting class. Let's get into reunification, something where you can remember what this baby and this relationship with your child is about. And unless you've done it and been in the trenches with those babies, you can never fully understand what that means. I'm the only candidate that has gone in the private sector and stood side by side with these kids and with these parents as they've gone through their trauma. Thank you.
Okay, so I often wake up in the middle of the night and think about the cases that we deal with. And just to give you a little bit of background, I started when I was 26 years old with the county attorney's office in their child welfare division. And within the first 6 months, I believe, that I was in that job, I had a case involving a 7-year-old boy who watched his father murder his mother. And it just changed my whole worldview. So these cases are very, very difficult. I often, when I go home at night, I think to myself, how will this child's life be in 5 years based on what happened in court today? Will it be better? That's my goal. I want them to have a better life. I do disagree with the numbers that Ms. Watson has given to you. I don't think she's analyzing the data properly at all. And I think if you ask any of the people who actually practice in my court, the attorneys, all of the COSTA advocates, the professionals that help these children, the foster parents, the aunts, uncles, cousins, all of those people who are taking care of these broken children, they will tell you that since I took over this docket, it has improved drastically. I am the first judge who has actually taken the time to make these cases a priority. And every day I take the bench and I make them a priority. And every day I go home and I try to focus on the good and try to push the bad aside. Because if you focus on the bad, you're not going to be able to do this for very long, I can promise you that. So my unequivocal goal, I want you to know, I mean this from the bottom of my heart, is to make sure that all of our foster children are in the best possible place where they can have the best chance at a life filled with love and hope and happiness.
That's all the questions that we have submitted. Again, I'm not going to make up any questions, so we'll go ahead and move to the closing. And if you want to add an extra 30 seconds or so, you can. I think you. Go ahead.
Like we're back in Jack in the Box mode. So the key thing that I think that is important for everyone to understand in this race, if you want to know what the stats are, you can go to the website for the Office of the Court Administration. That's where I get my numbers from. It's a state website that anybody can go on and look. It will show you what the numbers are for this court. The important thing is we need to remember that one of the biggest factors that all of us have to keep in mind is Montgomery County is one of the fastest growing counties, not only in our state, but also in our nation. That means right now with roughly 623,000 residents out there, each and every one of you, hopefully you don't need it, but if you do, you need access to that court, you need efficiency within that court, and you need consistency and fairness of the application of the law. Right now, only managing 20% of the family law cases that come through in Montgomery County alone. Again, this court is managing between 3,300 and 3,400. That's residents like each and every one of you. We can talk about CPS and how that's 80%, and yes, it's tragic when we get to the point that they have to have court intervention. But we also have to remember that not only do those families need access, the rest of our county needs access as well. We need to be able to get these cases closed. Our families cannot heal until we get them out of the courtroom. And that is our obligation as the judge, is to be able to guide that and manage that courtroom so that when we get those cases in, we get them disposed of and we get them out. Finally, the application of the law must be consistent and fair. It should not be treated one way for one type of case, for example, a CPS case, and then applied differently over here for a family case. It is our job to serve you, the people, from up here in this job as a judge. It is our job to provide the structure and the design and the course that you guys can have so you can have closure and move on. This is our job to serve. You need to remember that this particular position, no one has been elected. It is time for the people to speak, and it's time for the people to choose. Thank you.
So I have devoted my entire 21-year legal career to public service, and 20 of those years has been for this amazing county. I came here just on a wing and a prayer when I was 26 years old to come work in the Child Welfare Division of the County Attorney's Office because I knew that's the kind of work I wanted to do. And I have loved every second of serving this county. I have met amazing people, and most everyone in the county knows me, and they know my reputation for hard work and integrity. I have been endorsed in this race by District Attorney Brett Ligon, Constable Chris Jones, Constable Ryan Gable, the Republican Voters of Texas PAC. I'm one of the highest rated candidates ever with the Montgomery County Tea Party. I've been endorsed by Danny and Angie Signorelli. I've been endorsed by Commissioner Robert Walker. I've been endorsed by former Commissioner Mike Meadow. And these are all people who know that I have served this county, and I've done it with passion and courage and commitment to the foster children of this county. And I don't want to move this court. I want it to stay right where it is. We worked so hard to get it where it is. Nobody else wanted these cases. I stood up and said, I want these cases, and I'm an expert in them. Please let me handle them. My unequivocal goal is to create one of the very best child protection courts in the country. And at the end of April, my associate judge and I will be 2 of 17 judges in the country who are certified in TBRI, which is a highly reputable, widely known trauma-informed care. And that's our goal. And I thank you so much for coming out, and please come talk to me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're going to have Commissioner Metz and Matt Gray, who are running for County Commissioner, Precinct 4.
All right, they stuffed a box on this one. So let me work through some of these. Some of them, don't take offense, we've already trashed some of them, just based on what the questions were. I didn't do it. Some of the Republican women looked at them and took them out as, thought they were a little too personal. So, we're going to start in the order, I believe. Okay, we're going to start with Commissioner Metz. He's going to have 2 minutes for his opening.
For those of you who may not know me, I am James Metz, currently serving as your commissioner here in Precinct 4. Prior to that, I served as Justice of the Peace for 16 years. Prior to that, I also was a private business for 30 years in heavy construction, road building, drainage projects, and dirt work. And I also have extensive experience in working natural disasters such as hurricanes, storms, and flood all across the southeast and here at home. When I arrived at the office, we had many obstacles to overcome. Our road bond projects were moving along slowly. We had tremendous growth problems already then and continue to experience that today. We immediately identified problems over there and plotted solutions and worked on that right away. Some of those road bond projects are already near completion now. We drained places such as Ada Lane that had never been drained before. Ms. Bodenhammer said she'd waited 38 years for that to happen and it wasn't drained, but we did that. Doc Collins for 62 years of my life just was sprinkled with water to get over the road. It doesn't do that anymore because we went over and identified problems and plotted solutions and moved about and made that happen. We made many improvements here with our parks department, adding ball fields to those for recreation where parents can spend quality time with their children and grandparents as well to improve the quality of life here. I've worked hard for the time that I've been here to bring about a better quality of life and a brighter future for all residents here, especially our children. Many more accomplishments that we made since we've been. Tremendous support for law enforcement the entire court has, not just for me, but the entire court has supported law enforcement. That's why they endorse me, such as Constable Hayden, Constable Gable, and the Montgomery County Law Enforcement Association. So we're going to continue to do the good things that we're doing here, and should we be elected to office again, I appreciate your support.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. Before I get started, I think it's important to recognize we have a very special guest, two guests. It's a Gold Star family of a recent Marine that we just lost, the Hernandez family. Please stand up so we can recognize you and your son's bravery. Thank you. It's good to see all you here. So if you've been following this and you've been following me, you probably know quite a bit about me. And I like to talk about facts and stick to the facts. So I'll start out with a fun fact for today. About 220 miles from here, some time ago, Davy Crockett arrived on scene at the Alamo. And I can only figure he showed up there because he saw something he thought was worth defending. And I can relate to that. I'm standing here in front of you today, and I'm wanting to defend this county and stand up against the development, work on this drainage, work on these mobility problems that we're having, and go work for you folks. If you live here, when you drive around, all you gotta do is drive around and see the issues. Anytime it rains, we're flooding out. The roads are so backed up around the schools and anywhere. And we're talking about bonds, the bonds come up. That bond was passed in 2015. It's now 2022. We have 0 complete projects on that bond. My background is strictly big projects around the world, working with high-performing teams in every oil and gas major producing region around the world. Africa, Norway, Brazil, Mexico, Gulf of Mexico, you name it. But I don't want to sit here and bore you with all that about the background. I just want to talk about what we need to get done. I want to get out in front of the issues that we're having, like the drainage. I want to take a practical approach and deal with this development. It's not rocket science. We got enough equipment, we can get out and pull the permits and see where they're going to develop, and all we got to do is dig out around it, make sure the people that have been there for generations and for years don't flood out and can get out when it rains. That's what's important to me. I've been here a long time, my family's been here a long time, and most of you in this room have been here a long time, and I want to take care of you. I got 4 kids, 3 of them sit right here in the front, and we plan on sticking around for a while. Thank you. Okay, the first question is for you, Matt Gray. What is the Precinct 4 budget, and And what budget reductions have you or would you implement? I guess it'd be the would you.
So it's around $9 million. And I can say that with the budget we have, I would open this back up to a 5-day work week from a 4-day work week and apply those road funds to the roads. They won't be applied to salaries anymore, they won't be applied to vehicles. So with all the vehicles we got rolling around, the vehicles that go home every night from the front office staff, I'll stand here in front of you today and tell you they're gonna get auctioned off. I'm not law enforcement. I'm not trying to be law enforcement. We've got a very great constable who does a fantastic job, and I'm gonna support him and let him do his job. We've got a great fire team. We've got captains. I don't see the need for the county commissioner to have an airboat sitting in our shop taking up room. We've got other departments that have that equipment. So that's where some of my big cuts will be, and I'm gonna focus mainly on the drainage and the roads and what I'm elected to do. So that's my cuts.
I don't plan to cut anything in the budget. I'm going to continue to do what we're doing and working on drainage. Every piece of equipment just about was dilapidated and beyond its service life when I arrived on scene. It does take equipment to do that. I have never hired anybody in regards to salaries of people that work there in private business or in public service that I didn't expect to get a day's work for a day's pay. I'm getting that. And you better start thinking outside the box today if you want to get the job done. At least get somebody on the scene that's not on drugs and that will show up and work every day. It's very difficult. I face things that no commissioner's ever faced with a record flood in Imelda that brought about $15 million worth of road and bridge damage, and a pandemic where a number of people were in the hospital and sick for weeks. Nobody's ever faced that before in those offices. We continue to work on that every day, just like eating that elephant one bite at a time, and we're making great progress in all areas. Brought the Yellow Rose property over here to add to law enforcement. The sheriff added 16 deputies over here. I supported and helped Constable Hayden get a DWI deputy where they made 361 DWIs arrests last year. Whose life did you save today, Constable? Was it mine or yours or others? Law enforcement is extremely important. I support it 100%, and I'll never be a part of defunding the police. The life that we live here in this part of the country is wonderful in Montgomery County, but you don't have that without strong law enforcement. You have what you have down in Harris County without it. That's defunding the police down there. They have record crime rates down there. You don't have that. And you don't have good law enforcement in Montgomery County without a strong commissioner's court supporting those and giving those folks the tools that they need to do their job. I'm honored to be endorsed by Constable Hayden, Montgomery County Law Enforcement Association, and others. They recognize how important it is and what the mission is here, so let's continue to enjoy the life that we love here and the quality of life that we have. I support it 100%. I'm proud of the staff that we have here. So I'll make no apologies for anybody on my team or the mission that we have and where we're headed.
Okay. Next question, be for Commissioner Metz. What do you see as the most pressing need for infrastructure or capital projects in East County?
Roads, for sure. You must have mobility to get from point A to point B. The road bond projects, those are moving along now. We have future projects that we're working with the state now on 2090. 6,000 acres has been sold up there already. Those are the people like the Signorelli company, those people that think big and move fast and put in top-notch development and play by the rules. That's coming whether you like it or not. We've already worked on getting the traffic signal in at 2090. The first funeral I ever worked was right there. A young lady named Mandy Moody got killed at that intersection, and we worked very hard to get that light in there and just help regulate the flow. But what's happening over on the east side in Plum Grove, there's 30,000 people, I'm told, over there now. There's going to be 300,000 when they're done. A lot of those people are already coming out that way. So those are serious mobility issues that we must address, along with the drainage that's coming in here now. And as far as the development, we stopped one development in Montgomery County over on the 105 corridor because they didn't honor their word. They recalled their bond and they wanted to put in additional lots, and we held those accountable. B.D. Griffin's here, we got with them on that, and we wouldn't let them move forward until they did what they said they were going to do. So we are holding folks accountable here, and I'm grateful and thankful for my staff and the team and working for good people like the county attorney that watches out for all of us and measures our risk. That's where I stand.
Any other questions?
It's a great question. The pressing needs for the infrastructure. Where do you start? Just touching on the state roads. Have any of you been on 1485 West? You see all the 18-wheelers come through the death trap off Gene Campbell? That was on the bond project. Then you go over in 2090 in Splendora. That's in a bind. How much money have we put on 105? Those people, ask somebody that lives over off 105 how long it takes to get over there. You put me in, when I get in as commissioner, I'm gonna be hammering on the state to get the money, to get the grants, to get the funds, whatever we gotta do to open those roads up. Those are the big ones. Then you got the Fostoria roads, Sorters Road, it's on the bond, but I guess we'll see. But I'd like to take a step back and talk about identifying these locations where we need infrastructure. That starts at the top with your commissioner folks. It starts with your leadership. And as your commissioner, your leader, one of your figureheads of your community, I'll work with the school districts, your school superintendents, your MSED, identify where this development's going to be around East Montgomery County. Because like you've already heard a bunch, it's coming, and it is coming fast. It's been here. We're going to work with that leadership. We're going to identify those locations. I'm going to sit on the school bond committees. I'm going to have that leadership from the district sit on my road bond committees, and we're going to identify it. We're going to get out in front of it as much as we can. And it's hard to say how far that can be because we're quite a ways behind, folks. But that's what I identify as the major infrastructure needs there, Jason.
Most of these questions have to do with budget and very little about background. So I chose one of the piles that had something to do about background. So this will be for you, Matt Gray. What is your experience with preparing or authorizing budgets? What one area of county services do you feel needs additional resources?
So my background is extensively with budgets, managing and working drilling rigs. We had to do a zero-based budgeting. You had to forecast out your year, the whole year, what you would need to keep that equipment running, to keep them men safe, and to keep everything turning to the right. After I graduated from college up at Sam Houston State University, I hired on as a hand on a drilling rig, and I worked all the way into a leadership position to where we were dealing with those budgets, those AFEs, and that capital outlay. I'll go back to one of the areas that has come up tonight. We are growing at an excessive rate, and we're going to need more law enforcement and more men on the ground. And I think on Commissioner's Court, there's no getting away from that. We're just going to have to keep throwing money at that to get those men over here, those men and women, to keep us safe on the road, because like it's been stated, there's a lot of people pouring in over that county line, and everybody doesn't have the same values as we have in this room. So we've got to protect ours.
My experience as preparing and managing budget was prior to being in public service was 30 years in private business, a successful business, a family business, and it worked very well for us. And from experience and leadership, we brought that forward from my family, and I increased it, and now my son's in charge of that. I sold out to him, and he's increased it. I have the experience there, and it's just of the peace for 16 years and working with those budgets, and now just under $9 million a year in the budget at the Commissioner's office. We're on track with everything that we're doing over there, ahead in some areas. And the one thing that I would continue to add people to and resources would once again be law enforcement, so that we can continue to enjoy the quality of life that we have here in Precinct 4. Your commissioner's budget is not it's not set up for major projects. It is set up as a maintenance budget only for the amount of money that you receive to try to maintain the road that we have. There's 900 miles of them with 1,800 miles of ditches here that we maintain with the money and the equipment that we have. I've updated most every equipment there, improved mosquito abatement programs. That was all a major problem, a major complaint. Now we have equipment that works off of GPS now, updated all those radars, everything that we have over there, just about with dump trucks and all, we had to replace at a cost of over $1 million. It's a challenge to keep this up with the money that you have, and we've done all this, we've supported all these things, faced all these obstacles, and while not raising your taxes. For the past 3 budget cycles, the entire court has unanimously supported at or below the effective rate or the no new revenue rate as it's known now. And that's been unanimous for the past 3 budget cycles. We're working hard up there, not just me, but the entire court, to try to provide the services at the highest level that we possibly can at the lowest cost, and continue to do that for the people of Precinct 4. It is a pleasure and honor to work with those folks on the court. Every one of them have a heart for the people, and they care, and they're working very hard to make your government work for you here in Montgomery County.
Okay, again, like I said, a lot of these questions are duplicate in some form or fashion. The other ones we scrapped for personal reasons and personal attacks. So we're going to go ahead and close. Can I add 30 seconds? Okay. So we're going to add 1 minute, 30 seconds we'll start with Matt Gray and then Commissioner Metz. Close.
Thank you, folks, again for showing up tonight. We've got a lot of serious issues in this county, on this side of the county. And I'm standing here in front of you tonight and asking for your vote and your trust to go out and fix them, to get out in front of it. I just challenge you to look at my experience, look at what I put out. I think we can turn this thing around. We're going to open it up back to a 5-day work week like it needs to be. We're going to cut down on some of these things. You'll never have to second guess my decisions. And if you do, I'll have an open door policy. We'll cut down on what would appear to be any conflict of interest when I'm running the county. And these are important to me. Transparency and accountability are important to me. You'll be able to call me, you'll be able to come back in, and we're going to open that county barn back up like it needs to be. We'll have a quarterly meeting at one of these boardrooms at Randall Reed somewhere. We're going to discuss projects completed, projects in progress, and upcoming projects and budgets. I want to thank you, Mr. Ed Reinhardt, for your endorsement and for being here. The Tea Party, the Texas Conservative Party, and all the people who have endorsed me and supported me through this. I think I'm what we need for this county, and we'll get it done. Thank you.
We're going to continue to do just what we've been doing for the past 3 years and made all these accomplishments while overcoming tremendous obstacles that I've stated already. And as far as the work week, in 2006, Governor John Huntsman of the state of Utah went to a 4-10 work week, saving the state of Utah some $11 million. We did that here in the JP's office and didn't have a complaint for anyone. You're allowed 2,080 work hours a year in the county. Whether you do that in 4 days, 3 days, 6 days, or 5 days. That's what you're allowed to work unless you're going to pay overtime. And it was much more efficient for us in dealing with the traffic and all to go to 4-10s while we have the equipment out there and a savings It worked a lot better for us on the 410 schedule than to go on 5/8. We're getting more done. There's proof of that all over the county. You can see it's right around at the drainage project we work on and all the other accomplishments. Splash pad, which is a minor thing to some people, but it was paid for with a grant. And again, parents and grandparents doesn't have to pay a fee, that they can spend quality time with their children there at no fee on a wonderful playground and a wonderful splash pad area. We made improvements on the around the show barn over here, paving all that area where it's always seems like it rained every September when we had the rodeo and the cook-off and always stuff. You don't have that problem over there more. We've made many more improvements. We're going to continue to do that. We're looking at a rodeo arena to put over here because this is about to fall down. There's still a tremendous amount of people that utilize that. That means I'm about done anyway. So thank you. God bless you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to do a quick door prize before the next.
Hey, hello, let's start. Y'all take a seat. Please take your seats. Everyone sit down for the other candidates, so let's give these the same respect, please. All right, so we have County Court at lab number 4, Echo Hudson and Gary Miller. And we'll start, if you don't mind, Mr. Miller, we'll start with ladies first.
Yeah, oh, sure, I think we're...
Oh, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. Okay. All right, so 2 minutes.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all so much for hanging around. I know the commissioner's race is important over here in Precinct 4. So County Court 4 is a county-wide position, so you will be voting for this position. It is a criminal court. It is a criminal misdemeanor court. It also holds the specialized domestic violence docket for this county. So my name is Echo Hudson. I am the Chief Prosecutor of the Domestic Violence Division at your Montgomery County District Attorney's Office. I have been working under Brett Ligon since 2009 when he was first elected here in the county. And in 2011, I created the first domestic violence division and became the first specialized prosecutor for the county for domestic violence cases. I have been working for the majority of this court's existence from the prosecution side, running the docket, taking the cases, working with law enforcement, developing and implementing new policies and procedures for this county. So Judge Mary Ann Turner is retiring. It's an open bench, and I am looking to take over this docket from the judicial side and run it because my experience uniquely qualifies me for this court. So I have also been the defense attorney, and I have worked as a prosecutor of all 5 of Montgomery County's courts at law as a chief prosecutor, which means I have the experience in running a docket, keeping it running smoothly, efficiently, and knowing how those cases move through the docket at the least cost to the taxpayers, which is you. So I am looking to run this court, and I will talk to you more about this. I don't want to take up all your time because I know that we want to get through the evening. So my name is Echo Hudson. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name is Gary Miller. I'm also running for judge in Court 4. I have been a lawyer since 2005. I started my career as a prosecutor in Harris County. I was there a little less than 3 years, and then I went out on my own. I've been defending people ever since the end of 2008. I am board certified in criminal law. What that means is I had to get qualified, and then I had to pass an examination. There's less than 30 lawyers that have that distinction in Montgomery County. Basically now my practice consists of serious cases. I have gone to trial on pretty much everything under the sun. Capital murders, speeding tickets, you name it, I've done. This court handles misdemeanors. Misdemeanors are domestic violence assault cases, shoplifting, and then the major case in all the county courts are driving while intoxicated. These are important cases. They put everyone in danger. Typically, the county court is normally where people who have never been arrested in their lives ever, if they make a mistake, this is where they end up. Kind of the hope here is that's the only contact that they have with the criminal justice system, that they don't see them over and over and over again. These courts are important. Misdemeanors are important. and they are serious. Like I said, DWIs, I mean, you're one step away from someone being injured or dying. This court is important because also it does have that domestic violence caseload. I would keep that as well. It's a good thing, not to get too down into it, but basically, if you make cases move faster, fairness happens, justice gets reached quicker, you've got to keep everything moving, and the goal here is to keep the court running smoothly like it is right now. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Miller, this question is for you. There are several big cases that have ended in death because of bail reform, where people out on PR bonds. What can be done to keep this from happening?
I have a lot of experience in this. I was a Harris County prosecutor. I had many cases there, all right? What is happening is hearings and following the law that it exists, procedures are in place, are not happening. When someone initially gets arrested, they come before a judge. At that point, that's when the bond's determined. If you give someone a PR bond, you set the bond higher, impose conditions on them. The PR bond is basically you don't pay any money and you get let go. It's sort of catch and release. What can be done is procedures need to be followed. PR bonds are appropriate for some cases. I mean, there are cases in this court where you get arrested for driving while your license is suspended. Like, that should be a PR bond. DWIs, assaults, you've got to be careful. Those cases need to individually be looked at about what bonds are set, if they deserve a PR bond, if it needs to be a high bond. Even with misdemeanor cases, bonds sometimes need to be high. It should not be one bond sets every single kind of case. The individual needs to be looked at, their criminal history, their ties to the community. Those things all need to be taken into consideration when doing the PR bonds. You've got to be at work, judges got to hear these cases and make these decisions every day.
Same question? Okay, so last year our legislature implemented the bail reform bill, and it went into effect January 1st of this year. There's some provisions that will be in effect in April. And one of those provisions that I think is important for this question is that PR bonds are not available in certain types of cases, particularly injury cases, assault, family violence type cases, injury to child. Those are the types of cases that our legislature has recognized, and I think our community agrees, that are the ones where judges need to issue a bond to make sure that that person is returning to the court. But also, under Code of Criminal Procedure, Chapter 17, the court has an obligation to consider in each of those cases the safety of the community, the safety of the victim, and the reasonableness of the bond is in balance to that, to bring that person back to court, but also to protect. Judges, law enforcement, and prosecutors have a duty under the code, in a family violence case in particular, to see that a victim is safe throughout the judicial process. So what we're looking at is not only is there a PR bond, but is the bond that is given, even if it's a cash bond, reasonable enough to protect our community and our victims. Those are DWI cases as well, especially in this court. And so in that case, we also want to implement, which Code of Criminal Procedure, Chapter 17, gives the judge conditions of bond in order to make sure that that person is testing clean, that that person is returning to court, that that person is reporting. So all of those things in each individual case should be considered with the facts of the case, the criminal history of the defendant, and all of the outlying issues that are brought before the court to consider appropriately under that code in order to make the right case and the right decision in each case. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Hudson, this is for you. How does your upbringing influence your values today?
This person, you guys let a personal question through. So all right, I got this. So I was raised very conservative Christian.
My family was very close-knit. I didn't have TV till I was probably 8 or 9, I think, maybe even older than that. My focus was on education. My focus was on family values and Christian values, very conservative. How does my upbringing affect what I do? Well, to be a prosecutor, which is very near and dear to my heart, you take an oath to see that justice is done. We have other duties under the code, like protecting victims, and those things require doing the right thing when no one is looking or no one would ever know. When we go into a grand jury and we present a case, it's secret. Nobody ever knows what comes out of that other than whether an indictment is returned or not. And so for me, that is the definition of personal integrity. Every act that I make as a public servant in this community, I have to live up to as a person and a personal basis in my family, how I raise my children, and how my family operates within this community. Personal integrity, public service, those are absolutely things that are the core value that I was taught. I have dedicated my career, I have dedicated my life in this county to being a public servant because it's the right thing to do, because the right people should be making those decisions. Thank you.
Same question. Okay, got it. Thought we were going somewhere different. All right. I grew up in a very small family. I'm an only child. Some people think that's good. Some people think that's bad. Education was huge in my house. My parents both went to school for a very long time. They instilled in that, to me at a very young age. I consider myself a very reasonable person. All right. A lot of time in criminal justice, you've got to have compassion for people. You've got to see both sides of how people end up where they end up, all right? People that come into this court, it's typically the worst day of their life or the worst moment of their life, all right? People need to be on both sides of this, okay? The community is important. Safety matters. And then you have the competing interest with the person that's arrested. All of these things have got to be considered at once. I was a prosecutor too. I've sent people to prison forever. I've done that too, okay? You've got to be a reasonable person from all angles, and my upbringing's made me see it from different perspectives, use that, make the correct decision so that justice is done. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do it. Violent crime, particularly youth, is an increasing problem in EMC. What, if any, do you believe is the appropriate role for the judiciary with this problem? We'll start with you, Mr. Miller.
Okay. For criminal law purposes, you become an adult in Texas at 17. So I think this is actually addressing people younger than that. So that goes to the juvenile system. It's completely different than kind of what happens in the county courts. And then once you're 17, then you will be, if you charge with a crime, you'll be in the county courts. Let me tell you, a lot of 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds do get arrested. That is a thing, that's a big deal. Judges have got to be on the front line for that, all right? A lot of times, you've got to get involved in the defendants' lives. There's many programs out there through the probation department. There are different agencies that can help. Judges have got to be aware that there are places out there, they've got to get involved. A 17-year-old, let's just be honest, they do dumb things, all right? You've got to be ready, you got to step in, you got to be firm, you've got to help them, assist them through there, so you never see them again. You don't want to be the people that come back 20 times in their life. You've got to step in when they're young, get involved, and that is kind of the responsibility of the judge, to help them usher the case through, stay on top of them, help them finish what they need to do so they hopefully don't end up with a criminal conviction or get back on the right path.
that, this question is phrased increasingly as a problem in East Montgomery County, but it's really a problem across the country, isn't it? Which is concerning, and so we have to look at some things as to why are we going the path that we're going, and what can a county judge do? What can a misdemeanor criminal judge do? And I think that goes back to human behavior and understanding why people make decisions that they make. And one of my specialties, I'm a known expert regionally across Texas, and I teach across the nation for domestic violence. And I know that there's a cycle of domestic violence that happens in the home, and children who witness domestic violence grow up to be abusers, or they grow up to be victims. And so violence perpetuates violence. And so if we're talking about children who are going out in the world and creating violence, that's also statistically connected, because family violence is known to step outside the home and become violent towards law enforcement. It's known to become violent towards others in the community. And most people who are mass shooters or violent offenders for strangers start with domestic violence. And so really what can we do in our community is hold those offenders accountable, because the other statistic for that is to stop the cycle of violence. Children who witness it but also see the abuser held accountable are more likely to break the silence and break that cycle. And so that is something that I can do in my court every day, is to make sure that abusers are held accountable. It's what I already do from the prosecution side, but I think that that's important, because who you put into office at the local level has to understand the greater ramifications for our county. So I think that's a really great question. Thank you for whoever asked that.
Okay, that's all the questions for the county court at 4? 4, yeah. Okay, so we'll do the closing and start with Mr. Miller.
I guess you figured it out, right? Like, we're on the opposite sides every day. You guys got that part? Okay. I've done it all. I've been a prosecutor, been a defense attorney for a long time. I've been a lawyer for 16 years, all right? You need someone that's reasonable, fair, has seen it all, done it all. I've been there, done that, all right? This court's important. Domestic violence, it's a big deal, all right? But this court is bigger than that. It's much bigger than that. Every type of case that comes in there is important. And DWIs make up, I think, maybe twice as many cases as the assault cases do. These cases are important. I'm the only candidate that's board certified in criminal law in this race. I've lived in Montgomery County since 2009. I love it here. I'm married, I have 2 daughters, they go to public school. It's awesome. This court's important. You need someone that's fair, reasonable, that has the experience to handle these important cases. You don't want to leave this up to anyone that doesn't know what they're doing. This court is important. The court is well run. Things need to continue how it's going. I can do that. I've done that. I'll be there every day to usher these cases through, go to trial, handle what needs to be handled, and we'll get these cases moving and get people out of the system. I would appreciate your support. Thank you.
So I've dedicated my entire professional career to this county. And I wouldn't be running for this position if it weren't for this court. This court is so special, it's so unique. When we started the domestic violence docket, which it has fewer cases because they move faster, because we implemented rapid case movement through the system. But we run more of them through, and we take more from the other courts, and so this is a very important docket. Before I started this court, we were dismissing more than half of our family violence cases in this county. Those were the ones that law enforcement were even bringing to us. I implemented multidisciplinary teams. I implemented high lethality factors in order to determine which ones are likely to lead to a homicide. And we started focusing in on the most dangerous cases in the misdemeanor courts that we have. In the first year, we went to a 90% conviction rate, and we have kept that up for 10 years. This court is now being recognized as one of the national high performers. There is a reason why I know this court from the inside out, and it is so important to me. My husband is a master peace officer, law enforcement officer in this county. He is a reserve for Constable Gable in Precinct 3. I am endorsed by Precinct 3, Constable Gable, Precinct 1, Philip Cash, Precinct 5, Chris Jones. I'm endorsed by the Montgomery County Tea Party. I'm endorsed by the Republican Voters of Texas. I'm endorsed by Montgomery County Law Enforcement Association and by Coalition of Police and Sheriffs. My county is your county, and I will be a public servant for you. My name is Echo Hudson. Please go to electecho.com for more information, or please come talk to me. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Mark Keough, Mayor Sarah Countryman, and Billy Graff. And thank you all for being such an attentive audience. It's a big crowd.
Okay, so we have County Judge Mark Keough, Billy Graff, and Ms. Sarah Countryman. So we're going to start with the 2-minute opening. I'm going to just go in the order that they're written down, and it will be County Judge Mark Keough.
Thank you, Judge. My name is Mark Keough, and I am your county judge. Why do I want to continue in this job? Some of you are asking me, why would you want to do that again? Because we have made promises, and we have kept those promises. You know, I sat for years throwing a shoe at the TV, always arguing with people about politics and the rest, until I finally decided when I had the opportunity that I was going to run for public office. I was solicited. I served 2 terms in the House of Representatives. Right here, that's right, defending and representing House District 15. But you know what, I made promises based upon what people told me were important to them. I made the promise that I'd cut my salary as soon as first order of business when I went in. For the last 3 budget cycles, I'm the only employee in Montgomery County who hasn't taken a raise or a cost of living increase. Promises made, promises kept. I said that we would look at the toll situation on Highway 242. It was paid for. My predecessor said we need to keep the tolls on there. I said, no, that's a tax. TxDOT should pick up that. And sure enough, the commissioners and I would work together, and we ended the toll on Highway 242. Promises made, promises kept. I said that we were pricing the individuals in our communities out of their homes while we're high-fiving each other saying, oh man, we didn't raise your tax rate, but your appraisals keep going up. And as they go up, you keep writing bigger checks. I just couldn't figure that out. So you know what we did? We said, that was important to you, you told us that, and we promised that when we got into office, as the appraisals went up, we would drop the rate to compensate for the increase so that we wouldn't be pricing out of the homes the people that have lived here for years and have built this community, and they wake up one day and all of a sudden they can't stay in their home because they can't meet their property tax. We did that. Barb Sadler, who was a previous county judge, told me after the first time we did this, he says, the first time in the history of the county have we ever done that. And we've done that for 3 cycles. And there's much more to talk about, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all. I'm Mark Keough. I'm the county judge.
Good evening. Thank you so much, East Montgomery County Republican Women, for having us out. My name is Sarah Countryman, and I am the 2nd-term mayor of the city of Montgomery. I'm a 5th-generation Texan, and I'm a conservative Christian. I'm running on transparency and accountability because, unlike our current county judge, I don't believe it's a buzzword. I live by it. I want you to go check the city of Montgomery's agenda versus the county of Montgomery's agenda. I think you'll see majority of the business being conducted in the city of Montgomery is out for everyone to see with all supporting documents. I think you'll find that in the county, about 85% on the current agenda is on the consent agenda, which is millions of dollars that can be spent without your knowledge. I think it's important you, the taxpayers, know how your money is being spent and how your county is operating. At the end of the day, you own it. It's your money. I'd like to talk to you about the accomplishments I've had as a mayor. We have adopted and successfully acquired birthplace of the Texas flag trademark, a comprehensive plan. When I became mayor, we didn't have a vision, a plan, a destination. It took 3 years, but we have successfully adopted a plan and starting to implement that plan.
5 families in the city of Montgomery have brand new homes due to me working with GrantWorks. Also, every new home water account gets a brand new Texas flag. We've got a lot of people moving in from out of state, so we're thankful to get that Texas flag. I've accomplished this and many more as a free mayor because I have a full-time job. Imagine when I have one job, and not 2 jobs, but one job serving you, what can get accomplished in Montgomery County.
I'm the only military veteran in this race. I'm the only candidate that has a PhD in biblical studies. I'm the only candidate that has 13 years of disaster relief emergency management experience. Judge Keogh has often called into question my qualifications. He's also called into question my ability to do the things that I said I've done. I've never shown these documents to anyone publicly, but I will show them to you now. This is a certificate of special congressional recognition presented to my organization on behalf of United States Representative Mr. Babin. Not only one, that's for Hardin County, I also have one for, that's right, Orange County. No one has these. No one in this room has these. I'm the most qualified person there is when it comes to doing disaster relief for you, the people. Not only that, if you want to learn a little bit about doing disaster relief, I actually wrote a book on it. Ladies and gentlemen, I wrote the book on it. And for those of you who love Jesus, I wrote a Bible study to go with it. Okay? So I'm not here to tell you how great I am. I'm here to tell you that my 31 years of service to the community is for one reason and one reason only, so that your life is better, so that your roads are better, so that your family life is better. I've spent 31 years dedicating my life going all around this county, all around this state, providing hurricane needs, pastoral needs. For 20 years I pastored local churches. I've been in oil and gas. I've been a land developer. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no one sitting at this table more qualified than me to do the work that you need to manage millions of dollars, because I do it every day. Thank you.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Countryman on this question. What are the 3 most pressing issues in the county, and what are your plans to address them?
This has been a hot topic. Mobility. Currently today, we have a thoroughfare plan for the county that had the town hall that the current judges talked about. We don't have a mobility plan. Commissioner Riley has a mobility plan for Precinct 2. That's for his precinct, that's not for the whole county. We need one for the county. We don't have one. I like to plan and I like to execute that plan. Flooding. Y'all are sitting downstream from where I'm mayor. We've got to mitigate this flooding. I've talked to several different stakeholders and leadership here in East County, and they too say it's not been a priority at the county level, at the commissioner level, at the county judge level. They need help. So is it a flood board? Maybe one day in the future. I believe it starts with working with SJRA, with Houston, because our water and Houston water doesn't just stop at the county line. So flooding, transportation, as well as transparency. There are a lot of silos that have been created within the county with all the different departments. I'm going to break down those silos and let's have collaboration. I think there's duplicity in some of the folks on the payroll. I know that we can already start saving money as soon as I become county judge, because I don't have a personal driver and you won't have to pay to drive me around. Second, at the end of the day, Montgomery County is one of the best places I've ever lived. But we can do better than we're doing today. Our mobility, the 242, I came that way to get here tonight, and it took me 30 minutes to get through the light. We've got to improve the mobility. We truly need to have a vision and a plan for our mobility. Let's get together and get a mobility plan.
All right, Judge Keogh, it's the same question. What are the 3 most pressing issues in the county and your plans to address them?
Thank you. The three most important ones that you're going to hear from all of us, at least the first one, is transportation. We've been talking about this. Contrary to popular belief, we just developed a Montgomery County plan. We spent $500,000. We had a company come in and they did the analysis. It's not a thoroughfare plan. Also, we're going to continue with the taxes the way they are. My goal, and the second item that's so important to me, is that you continue to have the no new revenue rate that we've done for 3 consecutive budgets. And in having that no new revenue rate, we have not sacrificed our law enforcement, we have not sacrificed our constables, we have not sacrificed first responders, we have not sacrificed any of that, because safety is of first importance. This idea that we're going to have taxes in the future, as one of my opponents has said, and an increase in taxes, why? With the amount of growth that we have, we can continue at this pace, and as the resources come in, and as they fill the coffers with new homes and new construction, we're going to be able to do this. That's why you won't see an increase in the taxes that you have on an average on a yearly basis. Again, first time we've done it in the history of the county, and I want to keep doing it. But the third thing that is most important to me is that we continue to stand for the liberties that we have that have been challenged by this whole COVID nonsense. Make sure that you're not going to see Montgomery County with a code red like you have south of the border here. You're not going to see mask mandates. You're not going to see vaccine mandates. And this idea that I was determining who was essential and wasn't essential, that was done by the CDC and the governor of the state of Texas. I determined more businesses during that 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks that we were off, that they were an essential business. All they had to do is talk to me. And I would just say, you're an essential business, there's a problem, and you just tell them to call the county judge. We have fought for you, we continue to fight for you, and I see that the county judge position goes beyond just these things that we've talked about. It's representing the whole county to the whole public and to the people that want to take away your freedoms.
Isn't it sad that for 2.5 weeks, somebody had to call the county judge and ask if they were essential or not? Where in the world does that come from in our country? Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's very important. Roads, we all agree with roads. There's no question about that. But the county judge is really, his job is to take care of the money in this county. That's my concern. I've heard we have $700 million. I've heard that. We do not. I've heard we have all kinds of things, but we do not. My concern is that you have someone who has the understanding and the experience to manage money, to read budgets, to read P&Ls, and to really understand how to minimize our liabilities and maximize our value. In my line of work, as a nonprofit organizer who budgets millions and millions of dollars for nonprofits and then gives it away to people who need help in the midst of disasters, our number one goal is to maximize the value of every single dollar. And that's what I'm going to bring to the county court. When it comes to money, there's no one more equipped or educated or experienced at maximizing every single dollar. And as your county judge, I will do everything within my power to maximize the value of every dollar that every commissioner spends, that the judge's office spends, that every court spends, because we want to maximize the value of your tax dollars. And we're all excited. Everybody gets all excited at the county court about this no new revenue tax. Oh boy, oh boy. Wouldn't it be great if we actually went lower than that because we have good financial management? You see, my goal is to have such a good management system that our taxes go below that dadgum rate. I'm tired of them being excited about that. I want to get excited about lowering that rate, doing more things, and making you happy. Thank you.
Okay, this next question is, we're going to start with Billy Graff, Mr. Graff. I promise you've probably never had a question like this before, so...
I've had it for 20 years, who knows?
All right, we're fixing to find out. So, EMC has a huge stray dog problem. Flea market backyard breeders have flooded the Porter Shopping Center and the gas station areas. What would you propose to be the solution to this problem? And what support should you give as a county judge to the animal shelter?
Wow, we just talked about this in Commissioner's Court today. Well, I did, not on the court, but it was a topic of discussion today. And you're correct, you do have a major problem. In fact, the entire county has a major problem. Now, how do you fix that problem? Well, one, the commissioners all have to conclude and agree that we have a problem. That's number one. Number two, we have to find funds to meet the needs of that growing problem. Number three, we need to partner with nonprofits that are out there that have expertise in those things. We need to find ways to maximize the passion that people have for the animals that we have. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that we could partner with local businesses and we can get some materials and we could build a new shelter. I don't think we need tax dollars to do that. I believe that the people of this county are so concerned about the animals in this county that together we can create a financial opportunity for you, the business people, to partner with us, the county, to provide a huge facility for that. And then we'll find grants and other ways to maximize the value so that our animals that need the help they need have a place to be taken to. That we have people that want to take care of them. Well, we can't just keep talking about what we're going to do here and what we're going to do here. Bottom line is, we need to triple the size of the space, but it needs to not cost you that much money. And we're going to do that by partnering with people that have a passion for animals, partnering with businesses that have a passion for animals, because I believe there's plenty of businesses out here, we got plenty of developers out here that love animals just as much as we do, and they'll find it worthwhile for those animals not to be in their subdivisions, not to be in their developments. And so I'm saying we can do it without adding tax costs to you, the public. Thank you.
You know, we did talk about that this morning. You know what we concluded? We concluded the same thing that you did, Billy. I appreciate that. We need more space. How we go about doing that, we're not quite sure because we just started talking about it. But I've been sitting and I'm on that committee as it relates to these animals. Sure, we love our animals and we love taking care of them and make sure that they don't get in situations where parvo and all the rest continues to take place and animals die because they're improperly cared for. We have implemented processes that I think are amazing. We have an appointment process that's part of it, while at the same time, when people come to bring an animal in, we want to make sure that if that animal is treated properly, that they've been vaccinated. If they haven't, we do everything we can ahead of time to make sure that they come in and we manage these animals. We also have a trade or places where we, places where we, yes, Lord, I'm listening. Okay. Lord just told me to do something. Stay on track. So here's what we got. We have put something in place in Montgomery County with our two guys in charge of that. And what they have done is they've developed an appointment system for bringing these things in to protect the animals that are there. We know that we need more space. We're in the process of doing it. But the extra animals that we have, we're not euthanizing them. You realize that we are a 95% no-kill shelter and that we send these animals to various places and we partner with people in the community who can take these dogs and these animals. And we talk about the problem. Of course there's problems. We know that there's dogs everywhere and there's cats everywhere. They need to be treated and handled. But the fact of the matter is, I'm an administrator. And what I do is I find good people to do what they're supposed to do, and I turn them loose to use their creativity and everything that they need to do to get something done. And our two guys that are doing it are doing a great job right now. The Commissioner's Court has committed to them that we will help them as we move forward. So these are things that we have done and are doing. It's not something new. We don't do everything right, but we're very hard on getting it right.
I don't know what else there's left to say. Clearly we have a problem, clearly we're out of space, and clearly we need to get a plan together. Do we work with the community? Absolutely. Do we see if we can find grants? Absolutely. I don't think that the taxpayers should be on every bit of the taxpayer's back. So let's see what we can do to take it off of your back. But then it also goes back to that budget. Where are we spending excess money in that budget? And maybe we can find money to expand that current animal shelter or get head count. But today, we are spending like it's 2026, and we need to spend like it's 2022. Let's truly understand what's going on in our budget. Let's itemize and zero-based budget up, see if we can find money, partner with the people in the community as well as businesses, and come up with a plan. I don't have the plan. I think it takes all the stakeholders to come together to devise a plan and get input.
All right, so the last question goes in the bottom of the box here. I wish we would have had this one earlier. What does the Constitution mean to you, and how do you apply that as a county judge, or how would you apply that as a county judge?
The Constitution is the framework of our government. I believe in the Constitution. I do believe in your rights as well. The current county judge shut down this county during COVID. He shut down churches, he shut down businesses. He even gave us a curfew at 11:59 p.m. and stated that we need to be arrested should we be on the road after that time. That is violating your constitutional rights. That is illegal, and that would never happen when I'm your county judge. He says he made the decisions based on information given to him. A true leader takes the information given and the information not given, has a 360-degree view of options, and then makes a decision. But you do not violate constitutional rights, period.
Texas is a free and independent state subject only to the Constitution of the United States. And the maintenance of its free institutions and the perpetuity of the Union depend upon the right of local self-government unimpaired to all the states. That's the first article in our Texas Constitution. And in that, it gives latitude to the state to make decisions that are not mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. Now, when it comes to this COVID issue and the shutting down of the county, I mean, come on. Here we are, President Trump closed the U.S. government. That was unconstitutional. We have the state of Texas closing their government. Unconstitutional, right? We have the most conservative judge in Florida, DeSantis, closes down his state. Unconstitutional. Then we have a hospital ship that appears up in New York, a hospital ship that appears in San Francisco. And then my health district comes to me and says, you're going to have 100,000 cases, the models show, by the end of April, with possibly 1,000 deaths. And our state representative comes back from meeting in Austin and says, man, those guys just told us that we could lose up to 20% of the people of the state. So I made a decision based upon being surrounded by good people with all the information that I had. And we've been told let's wait 2 weeks. 2 weeks is to flatten the curve. And so I watched the numbers. We closed, yeah. And when we closed, we watched it. And you know what we found out? That of all the cases, they kept reporting more cases and more cases and more cases. Every day, 5 to 7, 4%, 3%, 5%. Each day was a little bit different. That of all the cases, everybody was sent to the house. Can you believe that? With just a few in the hospital for observation. They weren't even on incubators at the time. And so I made the decision at that time that I'm going to choose common sense over whatever the conventional wisdom was with the science. And from that day forward, I fought for Montgomery County to stay open. I was honored here by y'all over here at your baseball. When we threw out the first baseball, when they honor us for keeping our businesses open. I will fight for you, continue to fight for you, and that's what I've done. Thank you.
Same question.
You know, facts are one of those things that just get in the way of truth. Number one, Donald Trump hadn't shut down the county at that time. In fact, here's what he had done. He had declared a national emergency. And he made these statements. Strict guidelines should avoid common places. That's not a declaration. That is not an executive order. Number two, essential government functions. This is part of Mr. Keogh's order. He uses the word essential multiple times. He did set a curfew. By law, county judges do not have the authority to write law and make law. That is the legislation of the state of Texas. So to come along, make a curfew, ask the police department to arrest you, fine you $1,000, and you can find that at the end of the order, or put you in jail for up to, oh, here it is, 180 days. Ladies and gentlemen, you want to talk about Constitution? You want to talk about Venezuela? I wore a uniform with the United States Marine Corps so that you had the right to live as you so please. So that you had the right to live in this county free. So that you did not have to worry about elected officials who have no understanding of the military or what that's like and take away your freedoms. The role of our government is to protect our freedoms, not take away our freedoms. I have friends today that lost their jobs. I have friends today whose businesses are gone because our county judge thought he was a legislator. Ladies and gentlemen, he was not a legislator. He did decide essential. He already told you that. People would call up and he would decide, yes you are, no you're not. Yes you are, no you're not. Ladies and gentlemen, as your county judge, you are essential forever in my world. Thank you.
Mr. Graff, you can go ahead and close.
Okay. I'm on a roll anyway. Let me finish my sermon real quick. As you can see, I'm extremely passionate about what I believe in. And I want to bring that passion to your county court. I want to bring a work ethic that you've never seen before, because I can't half the time find these guys. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring a passion of understanding money. They don't seem to understand that either, because it's not theirs, it's yours. I want you to have someone you can call that will return your calls. I want to have someone you can trust with your money. I want less of your money, but I want to do more with it. I'm the only candidate that does that for a living. I raise millions and millions of dollars on grants, and then I give millions and millions and millions of dollars in services, and I'm the only one who knows how to do that. I'm a team builder. I'm a partner. I'm a grant writer. I know how to work with business people outside the government to accommodate and accomplish things for you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like the effective tax rate, then maybe you should stick with who you have. If you want someone whose focus is to get it lower than that, then I think you need to change who the commissioner is. It's not a team sport. You need to change the commissioners, you need to change the county judge, and we will do something you've never seen before in this county. We'll make you the priority again, not them. Thank you.
I'm Sarah Kunchman, and I look forward to serving you as your next county judge. I've got a list of accomplishments as the mayor of Montgomery, and I look forward to even adding on to those lists of accomplishments as your county judge. The current county judge does not work a full work week. I have constantly been told by employees of the county, stakeholders in the county, he's never around, he's not in his office. I promise you, there will be no buffer between me and you. I am here to serve each and every one of you. I'm not here to sit in an ivory tower and dictate. I want you to know you matter. I've got a plan for town halls with stakeholders in every single precinct. I've got a plan for mobility across the whole entire county. I want to put a plan together with stakeholders for flooding, because it's needed. Our law enforcement and our infrastructure are the two roles of government. I want our law enforcement to be the benchmark for the counties around us and even in the state of Texas. I want there to be an ironclad curtain around Montgomery County, so any bad actor that comes in here knows you're going to pay consequences should you act up. Infrastructure, we are hurting. There needs to be a laser focus on roads and flood mitigation. As your next county judge, you have my commitment to give you 100% of my time, 100% of my focus, and I will be made available whenever you need me. Just like I am with the city of Montgomery. All of West County has my personal cell phone number. If you want it tonight, I'll give it to you. Sarah Countryman 4, countyjudge.com.
I want to thank you all for being here tonight. If you have any questions about this that they have just brought up, right afterwards you can meet me right over there by my sign. By the way, when you leave, please take a house sign. It's really important you communicate to your neighbors what we're trying to do here. And if you will, I'll meet you right over there and I'll answer you questions answer these questions concerning these things. I just find it curious though, maybe you do as well, for all the millions of dollars that my opponent has raised and all the activity that he has had in emergency management. We've had some serious emergencies here, and where has he been? And his reason for saying that he has not been there is because we don't return telephone calls. You don't have to, Red Cross just shows up, and they come and they help. And how it's like to have a county judge that knows right now that she will tape record you, and she will send that to the newspaper. I mean, isn't that what Richard Nixon got convicted of? And we know for a fact this has happened not once, but twice. And it happened to a county employee, someone who was an elected official. Is that the kind of leadership you want? No. I didn't bring this stuff up. These guys are sitting there going on, I've been listening to it, and what I've come to the conclusion once again is that when the debate is lost, slander becomes the tools of the losers. And that's what we have. I'm Mark Keel, I'm the county judge. Thank you. Appreciate y'all being here.
Okay, we can go back and forth all night. We're going to end it with that. Y'all have a good night.
For state representative for House District 3, that's East County. I'm running against a 10-year incumbent, and I'm here to earn your vote because East County matters to me. Thank y'all so much for coming tonight.